Sisters and brothers, the story of the gospel, this one as well as many others, say clearly that the Lord expects us not only to be grateful for the good things that happen in us, like being cured of leprosy or forgiven our sins or whatever else would be a blessing from God, but that we show that by our behavior. He praised the good person who came back and said thanks. That shows that it wasn't just something he took for granted, but something he put into his life. 30 years ago, some people sitting in the pew, just like you, said, you know, we want to make our faith part of our behavior, not just part of our minds and hearts and prayers, but part of our behavior. Because we are the family of God. We know that every person in the world is my little daughter or my uncle or my grandmother. And I want to extend my faith beyond the parish in which I live. Well, one of those good people knew a missionary in Guatemala. They wrote a letter. Back came a picture of a little girl who wasn't able to go to school because she didn't have the school books. She didn't have the uniform. And she wanted to be a nurse. And she was trying to teach herself to read and write. They said, we're going to help her. They sent a letter. They sent a small donation. But they sent their own photograph. And letters and photographs back and forth, she became a nurse. That's caught the imagination now of more than 300,000 people who, through the Christian Foundation for Children and Aging, form an alliance of friendship with an individual child, young person, or elder in one of our 21 foreign countries, all in the southern part of our world, the southern part of our earth, the poor area. We're asking you to join us. There are 3 parts to what we do. First, and most important, of course, is prayer. When someone comes to our mission and says they would like to join our program, we say, are you willing to pray every day for the people of St. Anne's here in Texas? Now, they don't know where that is yet, of course, but they say yes, and believe me, they're praying for us now. Every one of these kids, elders, and young people are asking the Lord to give them and us the ability to have a faith that shows itself in action. Second part of what we do is what you see in my hand and what you see up here in front and what you'll see more clearly when you come up for communion. Individual photographs of individual kids, young people, or elders taken less than 90 days ago. These are real people. I'll say this more than once. Alejandro, this little 7-year-old boy who lives in Guatemala, is not a poster child. Nobody else is going to have his picture on the refrigerator door but you. Nobody else is going to have the information inside as to how an alliance of friendship with him will help him and his family forge a path out of poverty. That's how specific and personal we are. You'll get 2 letters from him every year. You get a new photograph every year so you can see how he's developing and focusing toward being the man the Lord wants him to be. And in his name and in the name of all the others I have with me, I will beg you to write to them. And I'll tell you how to do that after communion at announcement time. But put that into your heart now, to be able to recognize that the experience truly is an opportunity to have a personal relationship far away from us physically, but certainly in our hearts. Third part of what we do, you would imagine, financial. We ask for $1 a day, $30 a month, until he reaches a goal. When Alejandro becomes a bricklayer or a computer programmer or whatever his skills and talents are, we stop sponsoring, of course. We do the same with the kids in the mission as we do with our own kids, saying, now, we gave you the best we could, go put it into the world. And we'll ask him to sponsor another child. Not here, of course, in his own country, Guatemala, but maybe in Kenya or Madagascar or India. And believe me, he will. They all do. They know that what they've received, they're called to give. But as soon as I say the word money, there are 2 very important things I need to say to you. One is that 94 cents of every dollar you give to Alejandro goes to him. 6 cents goes to getting me here, getting these folders made, supporting our office in Kansas City, which is a reclaimed factory building, and our missions in 22 foreign countries. I know you believe me when I say that, and I wouldn't if I couldn't prove it to myself, because there's lots of scams in our world, and I'm not about to support any one of them, and I'm sure that's true for you as well. But Charity Navigators, Better Business Bureau, comes into our office twice a year to check our books, to make sure that we are accountable and transparent. Second thing about money, you know it better than I, a dollar is not going as far as it used to. When we started 33 years ago, we asked for $5 a month, then 10, then 15, and now we're up to 30, and we'd really like to keep it there. And so far we've been able to do that because some people say, Father, for Alejandro, I can do $33 a month. That's not a problem. And if that's the case, when you fill out the form inside, you just strike out the number 30 and put down 32 or 35 or whatever's right for you. That way I'll be able to continue to say 30. Now, personally, when I first heard this, I thought this makes sense. This is what Jesus wanted of the people that he did the miracles for, to let them show themselves as strong and willing to be focused toward behaving their belief. But as I said at the beginning of Mass, I'm a Capuchin Franciscan priest. I don't have my own bank account. So I went home to my brothers. I live with 3 other friars, and I said, you think our budget will hold $1 a day so I can participate in this program? Not a problem, they said. We already buy fair trade coffee from Guatemala. This has caught your imagination. You go for it. So I picked up the first folder I could see. Some people say, 7 years old, that's my granddaughter's age. I'm going to choose a little girl that's 7. Or, he was born on our wedding anniversary. That's who I'm going to choose. I thought the Lord will choose. I picked up the first folder I could see. It happened to be an older lady. We're the only agency in the church that sponsors older people as well, one by one, to give them a life of dignity and security. Her name is Angelina. She lives in Guatemala. She writes to me in Spanish, and if you don't know the language, somebody in the middle translates it. You get two letters, the original and the translation, and when you write, they get 2 letters, the original and the translation. She tells me, but before she came to the mission, she would pick coffee from 6 in the morning till 6 at night, 12 hours. And because she has arthritis and can't bend her fingers very well, she could only pick about 40 pounds a day. Then she would try to sell her coffee on her own every evening in the common marketplace and always got a price much less than the coffee was worth. But she heard about the mission. She came, let us take her picture. I got her photograph, and she writes to me now saying, I go to the clinic and get my arthritis medicine free. And by the way, we don't give any money to the person. We give it to the school or the agency or the hospital for good accountability. But she says, now I can flex my fingers just fine. I can pick twice as much coffee in less time, and now I sell my coffee through the mission to Fair Trade Guatemala, get a fair price for my work, and I can send my granddaughter to school. Rosalita, the little girl of 8, had to go with Grandma and sit in the shade every day while Grandma picks coffee for 12 hours because Mom works in a factory, Dad drives a truck. Together they make only $25 a month. The little girl was never going to go to school. She was going to be a shepherdess. She was never going to learn to read and write. But now she's in school every day. This is what an alliance of friendship does. Supporting good people who have goodwill and good skills and good talents and abilities to give them a little help by our relationship to them. When I got that letter from my adopted grandmother, I was getting coffee ready for supper. I was cook that night at our house. I'm reading what I just told you, that my grandmother picks coffee and sells it to Fair Trade Guatemala. I'm looking at the package where I get the coffee beans from. We buy our coffee from Fair Trade Guatemala. What a coincidence. I'm thinking maybe some of the beans I have in my hand were actually picked by my adopted grandmother. I don't know that yet. I haven't been able to visit her yet, but we want people to visit. We are so personal that we have an ability to give you the opportunity to visit the person you sponsor. I visited India. I visited Africa. We want you to look at this possibility. This is what people who form an alliance of friendship understand by experience. This moment of affirmation, this moment of enthusiasm for this makes sense. This is what Jesus wanted. This is what the gospel calls us to do. To say, yes, we're all brothers and sisters throughout the world, of course, but beyond our own parish, with personal relationship. Join us. First of all, and most importantly, in prayer. Look into your heart. I'm sure you have lots of reasons to come to Mass, lots of intentions. Please add one more, the same as Alejandro and all the others I have with me, for a deeper faith. Now, we're going to continue the Mass by saying the Creed. We've already heard the Gospel. We're going to go to Holy Communion as we do every weekend, and we're going to go out of the church to put the Gospel into our world. Of course in Livernia, absolutely. Right here in St. Anne's, yes. But by taking one of these folders, having an alliance of friendship around the world as well.